Welcome back to Road to 2000. Today we're taking a look at a blitz game I played this week. So it was blitz, not rapid, so it doesn't count for the official rating. But it was a really cool game, and there were two specific moments in the end game, so in the second half of the game, that were really cool, really filthy. Basically, I'm going to kind of breeze through the first half of the game and get you guys to the juicy section, and then we're going to kind of walk through step by step, and I'm going to have you guys find each move to set up those two moments, and then have you guys find them. So, yeah, themes of today are endgame tactics and how to convert a winning position. Those are our two themes. And we've had a lot of endgame stuff on the channel lately, which is cool. That's probably my strongest phase of the game because I've probably studied it more than the other phases. So yeah, it's going to be fun. It's going to be interactive. Also maybe a little advanced, but I think we can do it together. Let's jump in. I was rated 1729. Opponent is 1693. Opponent starts off with fianchetto. I'm just going to grab a big chunk of the center. Just making moves, developing pieces. Just making moves. Just, getting the pieces out, trying to castle, fight for the center. Try to trade off this knight, which was being annoying. Okay, play continues. Don't exactly know what to do, just making moves. It's a blitz game. Opponent goes queen e2. I go d4. Apparently it was better to try to break up the pawn chain here. I go h6. I don't know what I'm doing here. I don't know what I'm doing. I actually thought this was pretty solid. I won a pawn, but my position is like very closed off, so it's hard for me to come attack them. So that might be why the computer didn't like it. After this move, I felt like I was winning a pawn, so I went for, you could take right away. The problem is they recapture. You could trade again, but they recapture. But white is like fully sending it here, right? So a little sketchy on their part. High risk, high reward, perhaps. But I saw a good move, went for a better move. I went bishop h5, which I thought was really strong, getting a nice pin here. Opponent goes queen g2, which was the best move. And now, why don't you guys pause if you want. I'll give you like 5 seconds to think about what would you play here and can you win material? So I felt that I could win a pawn here by starting it off with bishop takes, rook takes, queen takes, deflecting the control of this pawn. Then I take, then they take, then I take, and I'm up a pawn. Hope that made sense. And that's what happened in the game. So take. Here they didn't recapture though. They pushed the pawn actually. Or they went queen g4, and then yeah, I think computer said they should push the pawn. I think this doesn't make that much sense for them because now I'm up a pawn here. Although I guess it does open up this file to my king. Next up, my opponent takes my pawn with check. So I guess they're kind of winning back the material. I went king h8. I guess computer wanted king h7, but whatever. Opponent goes rook f1, threatening rook f7, which would be pretty nasty, getting a pin on the bishop. And I could defend with the rook, but my position gets very passive. So I went bishop f6. I want to lock out this rook. I also want to start to mobilize my queen and rook. And this is kind of trapping the white queen a little bit. It's just making them hard to do what they want to do because they're kind of stuck in my camp for the moment. Bishop a3. White is attacking our c5 pawn. Now, I want you guys to pause here if you want and figure out how are you going to respond to this, because it's not so easy to defend this pawn. So give it 5 to 10 seconds or more if you want. So you can't go bishop back. They're just going to go like rook in. The move I found in the game was queen e7, which I was quite proud of at the time. If you found it, great job. So they can't take because we defend. But I realized after I played queen e7 that if white takes and we recapture, that then the white rook can infiltrate. So let's take a look at it. This is what they should have played. So if they do this, my bishop is hanging, and it'd be nice to like tuck in here or something, but the problem is then we drop our pawn. So yeah, the computer says bishop f8, which is not intuitive at all. And I don't know what the plan is with this, but apparently they're gonna do some more stuff. But I mean, they can come, you know, attack some of these pawns and whatever. So they're pretty active in this position. So even though I liked my move, I realized, ooh, I might not be as good as I thought.
All right, guys, and actually in the game, as well as my first round of analysis in the video, I missed that white can take on c6. And the eval bar is saying this is better for black somehow, but honestly, it's like very complicated. And I think if you found this move in this game, it kind of refutes my general plan as black. The moves they suggest here are like king h7 or queen f7 and the immediate term, but I try to play through the moves, and like the general plan is something like king h7, then queen f7, then rook e8, and then I don't know if like queen is going to come here and you get some activity, and I don't know, you start pushing or something like that is my guess. But yeah, I mean, they're also going to take this pawn as well, so you're losing 2 pawns here. And I mean, maybe you get enough activity on this side of the board, I don't know. But yeah, if you found this, honestly, I think that kind of refutes the plan here, so good job. Now let's get back to the video.
But for whatever reason, my opponent spazzed out here, and I guess they thought they had to sacrifice this to like break through my position. So they played rook takes. I played queen takes. You have to be careful there. I mean, you don't want to, if you make a mistake, then you're going to be down a piece. So yeah, you do have to be careful how you recapture. You can't capture with the pawn, then you're losing your queen. So it is possible to blunder here, I guess. But yeah, queen takes. And then after we traded, our opponent does win this pawn. So they kind of got a pawn and a bishop for their rook, but that's still losing material. And yeah, here we have a rook. We have an outside pass pawn. We have an extra pawn that we can maybe somehow get a passer over here. But now, what do you guys want to play here? So I'm going to have you guys find a lot of the next several moves of this game to get to the critical moments. So what do you want to play as black? You can pause if you want. I'll give you 5 to 10 seconds. So you can't push the pawn because white just comes up and wins it. You can't defend it. I don't really see a great square to put the rook right away. I decided let's mobilize the king. So king g7. General principle of the endgame, you want to centralize your king, activate your king. If we could like get the king into here and start gobbling these pawns, that would be great. So that's kind of part of our plan or our hope. We also want the king to maybe come up here and help this pawn promote, things like that. Opponent goes bishop b6, forking the rook and the pawn. What do you play now as black? Rook a8, correct. Great job. Just defending the pawn. So there's nothing else going on that's crazy for the moment. We can just get the rook out of the way, defend the pawn. Okay. Opponent goes king a2, threatening to come up and win this. What do you play now? King g6, great job. Best move, according to the engine. Opponent goes king h3, attacking our pawn. Now what do you play? King g5, great job again. Killing it. I don't know why... Actually, no, yeah, king g5 is, I think, slightly better than king h5 because we also defend this pawn. So if they come after it, for the moment, we're touching it. That's my guess of why it's better. Opponent goes bishop c5. Now what do you want to play? So in this position, I realized I can't really go up any further with the king without them taking the pawn. So I decided to bring the rook over, so rook h8. Actually, though, you can go king f4 here, because if they take, what are you guys going to play in that position? They just get mated. Boom. So always got to watch out for those mates, even in the end game. So yeah, I could have stepped in, and this would have been that was the best move according to the engine, because basically we're gonna walk in and win this pawn, and then start gobbling stuff up. And yeah, they're gonna get their bishop in and win this pawn, but then we can bring, or here, I'll just show you. So like, let's say they go here, we go here, they take. Then we bring our rook over, and we just hold this, so we prevent white from just gobbling everything up. Meanwhile, they're helpless to prevent us from gobbling up all these pawns that are on light squares, and they only have a dark square bishop, while their king is also like way out of the action. So that was the best plan. If you found that, you're a god amongst men. But I went for rook h8 because my idea was I want to defend this so that I can step up. But then I realized if they go bishop e7, they have tension here. It might be hard to step up, so I don't know. And that is what they did. So what do you want to play now as black? By the way, you have 24 seconds on your clock. I played king g6. I don't know if you might be able to step up here. Like actually probably not, because it comes with a tempo on the rook, which I didn't realize. I mean, computer says you're still winning, same reasons as before. I guess even after like, yeah, they could take either way here. You're just going to run in and start winning pawns. So that's probably also winning. But I went king g6 because I wanted to get out of this pin. That's part of the problem here too, is I want to push this pawn and I can't because of the pin. So king g6, opponent goes bishop c5. Now what do you play as black? Here's where I realized I really need more space to get into white's camp. So I went f5 here. And if they take, I recapture with my king, and I'm going to start infiltrating. So they actually didn't recapture. They went bishop b6, attacking my pawn. And all of a sudden, I mean, you kind of have to choose. Are you going to save this pawn, or are you going to save this pawn? Because I don't think you can save both. So now, what do you guys play as black? I decided to save the wing pawn, and I went f4. Computer says taking was also good. So yeah, like takes. I guess, yeah, the king, I guess, can step in here. But I don't know. It's not so clear to me how you break through here, because like the rook is not very effective in any direct sense along these files. Like if you stay back here and start aiming this way, there's probably ways to infiltrate and whatever, but. All right, guys. And actually, yeah, I think it was fairly straightforward to infiltrate from here. Like we're basically just going to walk up and win this pawn very quickly. So like if we go king here, I mean, if they come after our pawn, we immediately are defending it and just going to win this. So that doesn't work. So they kind of have to like take, and let's say we come here. I mean, they can maybe like check us. We take, they can like try to run with this pawn, but I don't think it really works. And then computer's saying like, just push this pawn here, and like you get a really dominant position with your king. And meanwhile, you have two threats here, and it's just very hard for white to deal with that. Meanwhile, our rook covers this promotion square. So yeah, that would have been a great plan. I thought pushing was stronger, because once we push again, then we're kind of locking out the white king, and we're very close to promoting once we get a pawn here, because yeah, the white king will be stuck to the H file, and we can maybe prepare it with like a rook over here, or like a rook g8, get the king out of the way, and then it would just be like two moves and we promote. So I felt pretty strong, felt pretty confident we could promote the pawn after f4. Opponent takes our pawn. Okay, so our plan better be worth it, because we just lost a pawn, and now white has an outside pass pawn. So not so easy. Now what do you play as black? F3. Correct. Great job. So yeah, computer says this was the best move. And now hopefully you guys can visualize it better how strong this setup is against the white king. So anytime you have two pawns separated by one file like this, yeah, very, very strong. Opponent goes bishop e1, threatening our pawn. Now what do you play as black? King g5, very good. Very logical. We're just adding defense to this. If you go king h5, that doesn't quite work because they're going to take your pawn, sort of. So opponent starts pushing the pawn. And I don't know. I mean, this is looking a little scary. We're kind of stuck here. We need to infiltrate somehow.
All right, guys, and you do need to find a good plan here, because if you don't, eventually white can put you in Zugzwang, which means that like any move you make makes your position worse, and like you basically run out of moves until like white is going to win. So if you don't do anything, like if you just waste moves here, white's going to start pushing this pawn. And I mean, it's hard to find moves for black. Like if you push, they just take, so you can't do that. I mean, we have one move we can waste here. But like, let's say I shuffle with the rook again. They get this pawn down to here and they're threatening to promote, and they can almost take. It doesn't quite work. So first of all, it's hard to find a move here as black. Like if not for this pawn move, what would you play? It seems like every move you make is going to lose this pawn because, you know, if you move away, they can take, and you can't do this because they promote. So you'd have to like move away to come snag this and they'd win this. But luckily we do have one move here where we can waste a move. And I actually thought when I was analyzing this that they could take with check and that we wouldn't be able to recapture because then they could promote. So really crazy, but luckily for us, if they took, we would recapture with check, which is super crucial because then we do have time to retreat and stop this pawn. But white doesn't actually have to take here. So they could just waste a move. So like if they go bishop f2, now we're truly in Zugzwang. So like what move would you play here as black? I don't see anything that doesn't lose this pawn. Like this pawn can't move, this pawn can't move. If we move the king, they take. We could move this pawn, but they just take, and then we're in Zugzwang again. You can't move up because they promote. You could move here, but then they take. And yeah, it's just really gnarly. It's really crazy. So this is why, going back to that original position, you need to find a winning plan here. We need to infiltrate somehow. Now, what do you play as black? You can pause the video here and give it a while if you want, or 5 to 10 seconds, whatever you want. But what do you play now as black? And I'll give you a hint. So this is one of the filthy moments of this game. If you pick the wrong move here, it could be disastrous. Give it some more thought. So there's a very tempting move here that loses the game for black. Do you guys see the move I'm thinking of yet? If not, pause the video and keep looking. So you have to always be careful, even in the endgame, of mating ideas. It'd be very tempting to, you know, we want to come in here and we want to win this pawn and help promote this pawn. So we're just going to go king f4. Let me turn off analysis for a second. So if you go king f4, what does white play in response? Bishop d2. And what is that? One of the filthiest endgame mates I've ever seen. Just the lone bishop.
The lone bishop, the king, somehow, because of the spacing of these pawns, because of my own pawn in my way, because this pawn controls this square, we are just a little shish kebab on this diagonal, and we're just getting destroyed. So you were winning, and now you're not. All because, hey, I want to just, you're thinking about your plan. I want to go in. I want to infiltrate. I want this. I want that. Well, sometimes your opponent might have something to say about that. So I did foresee this in the game, and I avoided this. And the way I saw it was I realized, like, whoa, dude, like if I step in here, like I don't have a lot of squares around this. And then I saw, whoa, I'm getting obliterated. So yeah, filthy, absolutely filthy. Also, what helped me see this was completing the Endgame Studies 101 course on Chessable. That's I Am Kostia from Chess Dojo. That thing is fantastic. If you're like 1,000 or 1,200 ELO or above, it's like $20, and there's so many amazing puzzles. They're really cool like this, really beautiful, and they'll make you much better at these sorts of tactics in the endgame. Okay, back to the game. So we're not going to go king f4 here, so we need a different plan. I don't exactly know what the best move would be here. The computer said rook f8, and it's a little confusing because they're going to take your pawn. But I guess we're going to, now we can step in and like start to win this. But I mean, yeah, it's dicey. Also, there's sort of mating threats here, kind of, because yeah, they have to block with the bishop, and I think, yeah, it's you could sacrifice here now, and after they take, you just, well, oof, it's a little close though. Anyways, let's keep moving. So in the game I played king h5 with the intent to go like rook g8 and or rook f8 and maybe start pushing this pawn. But I didn't realize that my opponent could actually now take the pawn on h4. And now, what do you guys want to play as black? And maybe some of you guys were thinking, let's come over here and win this pawn. The problem is, if you go rook over, they can go king g3, and they're attacking your passed pawn. And how do you defend this? The only way is you have to bring the rook back, and then as a result of that, you haven't actually won this pawn in the end, so that doesn't quite work. It's tricky. It's tricky. They're starting to push this pawn. We want to push our pawn. I didn't know what to do until I saw king g6. What is the idea behind king g6? We're pinning the bishop. And now my opponent went king g4. So they're still defending their bishop, and they're attacking our pawn. And we can't push the pawn, they just take. And they can just start rolling this, and it's not looking super easy. What do you guys want to play now as black? Here's another moment. You can pause the video if you want. Give it some extra time. This is a really great moment in the game. How are you going to find the win? So I'll give you a hint. This was the second filthy moment of this game. How are you going to finish this out? And your second and final hint is that this was actually a brilliant move, according to the engine. All right, you guys ready? Pause if you don't want to know yet. If you do want to know, here's the answer. Rook takes h4. Because now, if white recaptures, we just push, and the king is too far away to stop the promotion, and we promote. So we capture the bishop. They cannot recapture this way. My opponent correctly took on f3. I mean, it's game over, but if they want to keep fighting, that is the move. And we're up a piece. We have a rook, but they do have an outside pass pawn. So let's show some technique here. Now, how are you guys going to convert this position? How are you going to win from here? What's your plan? And what move do you play right now? I went rook h8. Opponent starts running towards their pawns, which makes sense. Now what do you play? Here I went c5 just to stop them from going b4 and defending their pawn. Opponent goes d2. And now what do you want to play as black? Rook a8. Now we gobble up this pawn, which is a sitting duck. There's nothing they can do. They push. What do you play here? Keep in mind, guys, we don't want to give white any chances here. I think taking could be a little risky. Let's see, what did the computer say about this? Okay, computer says it's okay, but I mean, white takes, you take, and their king gets a little bit active here. So I'm not a fan of that personally. I think a better move is just rook takes on h5, on a5. And now opponent goes b4, forking us. So this pawn's under attack, this pawn's under attack, the rook's under attack. Now, what do you guys play as black? There's a few different moves. You could even check the king. I took the pawn, which I think is the simplest. They recapture. They're attacking our rook. And here I went rook a3 with the intent to just walk my king over and take this pawn. The white king can't infiltrate because I have the rook here. But actually, yeah, the computer shows you that if you go rook a4 right away, they just can't do anything to defend this pawn because my pawn controls this square, so their king is shut out. If they push, you get behind it, and then you win, and it's pretty easy from there. So endgame tactics. If you enjoyed that, guys, make sure to drop a like. It really helps the algorithm. But I loved these couple moments in this game. Let's go back to that bishop mate for a second. Okay, so here's the moment. Here's the moment. Everything in our game plan is pointing towards it's time to infiltrate with the king. But, you know, you have to think like, you have to imagine yourself there and, you know, make sure you're safe first. So the alarm bells should be going off here because when your king sits on this square, first of all, they have a check. So your king is vulnerable to checks. When you sit on this square, you don't have a lot of mobility. This king is blocking us out. This pawn is blocking us out. And our own pieces are blocking us. So, man, that's just crazy. That's crazy. I mean, I've seen this in like an endgame study. And so to see it in a real game is really cool. And it really mattered because I really almost did go here. And, you know, this is not a hard move to find as white. Like, you're just checking the king. It's one of those you could even do by accident. You go for the check and then you hear the sound and you're like, oh, wow, that's a mate. And this reminded me of some scenes and maybe some movies, or actually a TV show I was watching recently where, you know, there's like kind of someone about to open a door. It's like a chase scene or something. And someone's about to open a door and go into a new room that would be natural. Like, that's where they've been heading. And then they kind of freeze with their hand over the doorknob, and then they slowly back away, and as they realize, like, this doesn't feel right. And that's what happened in this game. So that was an amazing moment. And then also this plan to pin the bishop with basically the intent to sacrifice on the bishop because we're deflecting white's king and we're just going to promote. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's game. I think the next episode will probably be of a rapid game. So if you want to catch that, I'll see you there. Thanks a lot.